Hi there, my name is Alana and today I'm so excited to be testing two drugstore dupes for Charlotte Tilbury's Hollywood Flawless Filter. So in this video we are going to be testing out both the e.l.f. Halo Glow Liquid Filter and the Maybelline Instant Age Rewind Perfector 4-in-1 Glow Makeup. Now this is particularly exciting because for the longest time I have felt that the Charlotte Tilbury Hollywood Flawless Filter is undupable. That anything that the drugstore came out with, maybe it was a similar idea, like similar glowy idea, but it didn't do all four of the functions that I use Hollywood Flawless Filter for. So for background, I do have a video where I show you 4 different ways to use the Hollywood Flawless Filter. I'm gonna leave that linked down below. But they are wearing it as the base product on its own, mixing it in with the foundation to make it a little bit more glowy and dewy, wearing it as a highlighter, and wearing it as what I'm calling kind of a glow base, sort of a highlight primer. So those are the 4 different ways that you can use this product. And for me, really I use it in 2 ways. One is as a glow base and then topping it up again with the highlighter. And second is as a mix-in. So I guess that's 3 ways. I think of it as 2 because I think of it as like a multi-layer highlighting process. But those are my 2 favorite ways to use Hollywood Flawless Filter. So in today's video, we are doing 2 try-ons, 2 wear tests. So we are going to be comparing first the e.l.f. Halo Glow Liquid Filter with the Charlotte Tilbury Hollywood Flawless Filter. But today we are testing out the Maybelline Perfector 4-in-1 Glow Makeup and the Charlotte Tilbury Hollywood Flawless Filter. So those are what I'm wearing on my face right now. So in addition to the try on and wear test, we're going to take a look at the comparison swatches. I'm going to share with you a little bit about the pricing and the shade range, and then provide you my final recommendation. Now, I know I have a number of viewers who have very fair skin like myself, and what I wanted to share with all of you guys is that every product that I am testing today is the fairest shade in the range. So if you, like me, struggle especially with drugstore products being too orange, too warm tone, and not really being neutral or kind of cooler tone friendly, then I think you're gonna find this video really helpful. And for everyone else who doesn't share my skin tone, don't you worry, we're doing a deep dive on the formula. We're looking at the wear time. We are like going in with a microscope. Well, not quite, but you know what I mean. Anyways, without any further ado, let's get into it. So today in part 1 of our comparing these 3 glowy base products, we are going to be comparing the e.l.f. Halo Glow Liquid Filter and the Charlotte Tilbury Hollywood Flawless Filter. Now I have the Charlotte Tilbury Hollywood Flawless Filter in shade 1, which is the fairest shade. And in e.l.f. I've also purchased shade 1, which is also the fairest shade. So let's see how these 2 compare. So we're going to Charlotte Tilbury on this side of my face and e.l.f. on this side. So first up, the way I like to use my Charlotte Tilbury is putting kind of a C around my eyes, sort of a highlighting base. So I'm going to just usually use my fingers for this part, just to kind of get it in there. And you know what? I should get a little hand mirror. Got it in, looks normal. So far, just obviously it's a product I've used, but this is gonna actually be my first time opening. Okay, first up, this wand is substantially bigger. So we'll get into a kind of a product packaging and swatch comparison a little later in the video, but already this is a big, oh, and that is a lot more yellow. Yeah, that is a lot more warm toned. So we'll just, a lot more peachy. Now once it's all blended in, I don't think it'll really make that big of a difference, but I do immediately feel like it is adding more warmth to my face, whereas the Charlotte Tilbury one is definitely more of a cool tone product. Okay, so the second way I enjoy using my Charlotte Tilbury Hollywood Flawless Filter is as a mix-in with a matte foundation. I'm gonna be using my Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush Flawless Foundation. This is in shade 2 Neutral. And of course, I'm going to be mixing the e.l.f. and the Charlotte Tilbury Filter products on each side of my face. The reason I really want to include this as a part of my comparison testing is I want to see if the foundation breaks down with either product quicker, how it wears. I just want to see how that works out, because to me, with a product in what I'm going to say the filter family, I want to be able to mix it. I want it to be able to just be a product I can use in a lot of different ways. And I think that's what makes the Charlotte Tilbury one, at least until now, so unique in the market, is that it's a product that it's a primer, it's a base, it's a highlighter, it's something you can mix in. And it's just all those different ways that you can use it is where I find a lot of value in the product. So I'm gonna make 2 little, I'm gonna take 1 blob of e.l.f. people do. Oh, that is a liquidy product. When I like opened that one up, I actually got some on my desk. And then I think for an equal amount, actually it kind of looks pretty equal now that they're both kind of out and about. So I'm gonna mix them together on my hand using a different finger. Okay, so this side is Charlotte, this side is e.l.f. So let's just kind of get that all around. Okay, so we'll start with the Charlotte side. And then I'm going to use the side of the sponge so we don't have too much mixing. So this side is e.l.f. and this side is Charlotte Tilbury. So far, I'm not really noticing a difference. So let's put on some blush, bronzer, eyeshadow, all of that good stuff. And then we'll come back and we'll try out these two as highlighters. Okay, so makeup is on. So let's put Charlotte on this side. I normally do just a few little dots like that, and we'll put e.l.f. to scrape a little off because there is a lot on the dough foot. Put e.l.f. up on that side. So we're gonna go in with different sides of our sponge. Let's start with e.l.f. Okay, so we have it done. We've used the product 3 different ways, and I have to say they look effectively the same. I noticed just a slight more warm tone when it comes to the e.l.f. than I do with Charlotte. Charlotte's definitely more of a cool sort of pearlescent, but when they're blended in, they look basically the same. This is impressive. Now, what I will say when it comes to dupe content is it is not enough for it to look the same when I film. I find for a lot of luxury and high-end makeup products that the key difference between them and their drugstore competitors are, I would say the key difference between high-end and luxury products and their drugstore sort of counterparts is the wear time. So I've applied it on my face. Again, it's a base highlighter, so kind of like a low-key primer, a highlighter, and then also mixed in with foundation. So today we have a tough day ahead for my makeup. I am gonna apply a little bit of setting spray. Anyway, so I wanna go buy some flowers. It is hot today. It is north of 30 degrees Celsius, which is hot here in Toronto. So we're gonna see, does it melt off? How does it wear? And then I'm gonna come back to the wear test, and tomorrow we are gonna be comparing the Maybelline to Charlotte Tilbury. It's now 9:10 in the evening, and it has been a long, hot day. My husband and I went to the garden center, and then I really liked the flowers we bought. We bought a massive hydrangea and a rose of Sharon bush that's really basically a tree, and I was just really excited about them. So I thought it'd be a really good idea single-handedly in 32 Celsius heat to take a shovel and just start digging holes. So anyways, I planted both of them. Wearing this makeup, I was definitely sweating. So this is a very real wear test. Okay, so I'm gonna start by saying like basically all the makeup on both sides of my forehead are gone, which makes sense, I was sweating buckets. But let's check the rest. I'm gonna check in here. Honestly, they both held up really well, like especially in here, they both held up beautifully. And no particular breakdown of the foundation mix on either side of my face. You guys, e.l.f. did a really good job. I mean, you know on my channel I have high expectations for Charlotte Tilbury, but e.l.f. did a really good job. Like, I'm very impressed. So, okay, tomorrow I am going to be trying out the Maybelline compared to Charlotte Tilbury, but you guys, e.l.f. And for us Canadians, it is available at Shoppers Drug Mart. You know, if all the drugstore like dupes were hits like this, they're not, but this one is like a grand slam. I'm actually speechless. Okay, I'll see you guys in the next clip. More importantly, my dress, it is also soaked with water because I just like sprayed myself down with the hose. It is so hot. So I'm just gonna go take it off and put on something a lot lighter. So see you guys soon. Starting off with some moisturizer. I really enjoy this one. This is by Yensa. It's their Pink Lotus Cream. This is probably my last application. I've used up the whole tube, but Just as a side note, this is a, I'm not going to say dupe, but a fantastic alternative to the Charlotte Tilbury Magic Cream. Okay, so once again, we're going to be putting Charlotte Tilbury on this side of my face and the drugstore dupe on this side. So I've put the C shape of Flawless Filter kind of just around here. So we're going to repeat that with the Maybelline. Now, what makes the Maybelline different right off the bat is the packaging. It has a sponge applicator, and then as you need more, you just twist it up. I find that I've been using this product for about a week or two now, and I find that I don't need to roll it up too often. I'm gonna say off the bat that the Maybelline is more subtle than the Charlotte Tilbury. I feel like we get a bit more glow here, but you know, you're not always looking for the most intense glow. So it's not a good or a bad thing, it's just a thing. We have our concealer blended in. Of course, the next test is mixing it in with Charlotte Tilbury's Airbrush Flawless Foundation. Now, do 2 little blobs on each side of our hand. We're gonna do our, now I've actually, as I was falling asleep last night, I was thinking, how am I gonna do this? So yeah, it's not, I guess we're just gonna have to really, okay, I'm just gonna have to really just, like okay, there's no visible product on my hand, so, okay, that looks like about an equal amount. Made a little bit of a mess, but let's start by mixing up the drugstore one. So we're gonna, okay, mix up the Charlotte on this side. What my hand looks like right now. Okay, so we're gonna start by blending in the drugstore side. Let's get out the mirror and see how we're doing. I feel like the glow on this side is a lot more intense. It looks dewier. And this side looks a little bit more matte. Okay, so I'm going to finish up my makeup. When it's time for highlighter, we're gonna come back and give these another go. And then again, we are gonna have a wear test tonight. So I'm about to apply this as my highlighter, but because I had to pump up so much to mix it in with my foundation, I'm gonna end up wasting this amount of product because if I put that all on my face, it's gonna be way too much. So I just wanted to share that with a little B-roll before we get started. We are going to discuss the wear test. But before we dive into the wear test, I just wanted to share a little disclaimer. So in between putting on my makeup and like checking in for the wear test, I had some free time. So I'm like, well, let's start on the editing. Let's start on the editing. So as I'm starting to edit this video, the entire segment where I apply the Hollywood Flawless filter here and the Maybelline 4-in-1 here as a highlighter on top of my makeup, entirely out of focus. So you will have to trust me that I applied both, just like I did for the e.l.f. comparison. I applied both right along here, tapped it in with the beauty sponge. There, that's it. So, okay, so wear test. Let's take a look. Okay, so I'm gonna just start off by saying that obviously my hair and makeup look a little bit better than they did yesterday because yesterday I dug massive holes to plant trees, and today all I did was apply mulch in my garden. So like I got like a little sweaty, but it also wasn't as hot. So that's why overall it looks better. But let's see, do either of these look any different? Okay, I'm getting like really close in here. I will say that on the side with the Maybelline, there's been more product breakdown. So in the foundation where I mixed together the Flawless filter style product with the matte foundation, that was Charlotte Tilbury's Airbrush. I will say that on this side of my face, I see more breakdown in the forehead and a little bit more kind of under here. Whereas on this side with the Charlotte Tilbury, I mean, it doesn't look like I did my makeup like 5 minutes ago, but it's holding up a lot better. No real no real breakdown. So that is like one teeny tiny, just like little mention. In terms of the glow on the cheek, I feel like they both look about the same. I'm pretty impressed. I'm really happy with how both sides look. I don't think it looks like I'm wearing different makeup on either side of my face. So I'm impressed. So let's start with the Maybelline. And we'll do just one swipe as well. So the Maybelline one is really, really lightweight. It feels like absolutely nothing on the skin. Next, we're gonna go with Charlotte Tilbury in shade 1. So there is kind of one swatch, and then I'm gonna do a second line, and I'm just gonna blend that one in a bit. There we go. So as you can see, the Charlotte Tilbury is a lot lighter than the Maybelline, much more pearlescent and highlighting. Whereas I really feel like the Maybelline has more sort of a golden glow to it. This is shade 2 of Charlotte Tilbury, which is a little bit more gold, a little bit more peachy. So we'll blend in one of those swatches. As you can see, a little more yellow toned. And finally, we have our e.l.f. one. So I'm gonna do those 2 lines. Already off the bat, you can see e.l.f. is orange. So we're gonna blend those in, and there you go, there are the swatches. So in all cases I have, well, with the exception of this one, which is of course the shade 2 from Charlotte Tilbury, but from every brand I have the Fairest shade, and as you can see there's a lot of difference between them. I'd say that the e.l.f. one is both the most warm toned and has the most amount of sort of obvious, I'm not saying metallic, but the most amount of sort of obvious pearlescent shimmer. The Charlotte one is sort of in the middle, and then I would say that the Maybelline one is actually the lightest, softest, most lit from within glow, but it is also a deeper shade for the Fairest option. Okay, so let's talk pricing and shade range before we get into my final recommendation. So starting off with the original, the Charlotte Tilbury Hollywood Flawless Filter retails for 53 Canadian dollars and is available in 12 different shades. The e.l.f. Halo Glow Liquid Filter retails for 18 Canadian dollars and is available in 8 shades. The Maybelline Perfector 4-in-1 retails for $21.50 Canadian, although that price can vary between retailers, and is also available in 8 shades. Both e.l.f. and Charlotte Tilbury have a large doe foot applicator, while the Maybelline has a soft cushion applicator. In terms of formula, the Charlotte Tilbury Flawless Filter is definitely the thickest. Now I find the e.l.f. formula to be a lot more runny and more liquid than the Charlotte Tilbury formula. Now the doe foot applicator is a lot larger and does pick up more product than Charlotte Tilbury, and I will say the e.l.f. doe foot definitely has like quite a large divot in it. Like it holds a surprising amount of product, but the product is also just a lot more runny, and I will say I found the product a little bit harder to control when I was mixing it in with my foundation. Now the Maybelline Perfector 4-in-1 is a bit different, and I will say the applicator makes a difference. So first of all, I'll say that the Maybelline probably has the lightest formula, definitely nowhere near as thick as the other two. Now it has the soft cushion applicator, and I found it made it a lot more difficult to mix in with my foundation. Now it was a lot easier to sweep on my cheekbone, especially prior to applying makeup and then again after, because you know, you don't need another tool, you don't really need another product, just swipe it and you can really just use your fingers to tap in the rest. Now when this product says 4-in-1, it's not really the same 4-in-1 as Charlotte. It says primer, concealer, highlighter, and BB cream, which is not dissimilar to Charlotte, but I really feel like Charlotte's product is designed to mix in with foundations, and that's really, in my opinion, how the Charlotte product is best used. Now, let's talk shade range for a minute. I spoke about the number of shades available from each brand, and I will say that because Charlotte has the larger shade range, if you have fair skin like me, you're probably going to find Charlotte Tilbury's fair shade to be more flattering, especially if you are somebody who's fair with a cooler complexion. Now, I can't really speak to the deeper end of the spectrum. Obviously, that's not my skin tone. Those are not the products I have in front of me. But it does seem relatively inclusive. And I will say that a lot of these products, they can be stretched so many different ways because you can use them in a lot of different ways. But I'm getting really, really nitpicky here because I think that's my job. I mean, I have a 9-to-5 job, but for the purpose of the video, I think that's my job. The Fairest shade in the e.l.f. range is, I would even argue, deeper than Charlotte Tilbury's shade 2. Relatively similar, but I would probably think Charlotte Tilbury's shade 2.5 or 3 would be the better match for e.l.f., just so you can get a sense of where to place it on that spectrum. When it comes to Maybelline, in addition to Fair Light shade 00, which is the shade that I have, there's also a Fair Light Cool, which I was not able to find in the store, but if I could have reviewed it, I would have. So if anyone has any insights on that shade, please let me know, because I will say that this Fair Light is like a neutral veering into warm. It's definitely not cool tone friendly. That being said, by the time you mix all these products in together, whether it's as your base or your highlighter or with your entire look, it should turn out okay. I'm also saying this as somebody who is in her August complexion right now. So this is me bronzed and tan. This is as bronzed and as tan as I get. I don't use self-tanner. And so if I was in my January complexion, which really is on par with Casper the Ghost, then I would probably find both of these drugstore options to be too dark and too warm toned. e.l.f. has really given Charlotte Tilbury a run for her money. The e.l.f. formula is fantastic, nearly a perfect dupe. The only real difference that I can discern is that the e.l.f. one is a lot runnier than Charlotte Tilbury. And I don't think that either of that is a good thing or a bad thing, it's just a different thing. I thought the e.l.f. product wore beautifully under makeup. I love that the e.l.f. product was really easy to use in all of the ways that I tend to use my Charlotte Tilbury Hollywood Flawless filter. When it comes to the Maybelline, it's not as good of a dupe, but it's still a great product, so let's get into that in a moment. But of course it's not as good of a dupe because the e.l.f. product clearly tried to just copy, paste, and tone down the price. e.l.f. really just said, can I borrow your homework? I'll put a different name on it. Maybelline said, Charlotte, I like what you're doing, but I'm gonna do it a little bit different. So the Maybelline product, to me, it doesn't work as well mixing in with foundation, both in terms of how the product is structured, but also in terms of the actual formulation, right? I definitely saw that breakdown, which I didn't see with Charlotte or with e.l.f. But I really like using this product. I love the sponge applicator. I know a lot of people don't, but it is so easy. You know, probably not a product I'll wear as much on camera, but a lot of the time I'm doing my makeup for my 9-to-5 job. And just having a simple highlighter like this, that's not too loud, not too blingy, not too much, that with the lowest amount of effort, I could put like a BB cream or a tinted serum on and then just swipe it like this, pat it in with my fingers and say, good enough. That is really appealing for days that I have to go into the office. I really think with this Maybelline product, it looks like you put in more effort than you did, and that is like, love that. All of that is to say, a very nuanced opinion. While I love the Charlotte Tilbury Hollywood Flawless filter, and I think like it's beautiful to look at and it's a beautiful product, and the shade is probably a better match for me, this e.l.f. Halo Glow is incredible. And the Maybelline Perfector 4-in-1, another fantastic product. It's just different, right? It's a little different, but very, very similar. Kind of dupe the vibe versus dupe. Anyways, I recommend all three of these products. At the end of the day, it of course depends on you and your budget and how much money you want to spend. I will say that if you are someone who's considering adding a little bit more glow to your daily makeup routine, but maybe you're not entirely sure, you can't go wrong with the e.l.f. product. It is beautiful. The only caveat to all of that is that if you have very fair, cool tone skin, you're probably gonna find the Charlotte Tilbury a better match for you. So I hope that you found this review and comparison helpful. I tried to get into as much detail as I possibly could to make sure that this video is helpful for you and to make sure that we are addressing all of the points. I think that these are three fantastic products. You're not gonna go wrong with any of them. And I'd love to hear your comments down below if you've tried any of these three products, what your thoughts are, if you enjoyed them, if you didn't, what shades are working for you. I'd love to hear all of that down in the comments, and you guys know I love chatting with you guys down in the comments. So if you haven't already, please subscribe. I'm also going to leave my playlist link down below. I have nearly 60 videos dedicated to Charlotte Tilbury. If there's any other drugstore dupes for Charlotte products or other high-end products that you want me to try out, again, leave those requests down in the comments and I will do my absolute best. So thank you so much for watching and I'll see you guys soon. Bye. Mwah.